I knew I was being disrespected the day my name got wiped off the schedule and nobody even bothered to tell me. It was like I just stopped existing, except my rent and bills didn't get the memo. I work as a line cook at a little neighborhood diner, the kind with sticky laminated menus and regulars who order the usual. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. Grease under the fingernails, sore feet, and the comfort of a hot grill and a full ticket rail. Most mornings start the same. I'm there at 5 a.m., unlocking the back door while the sky is still purple. Coffee goes on first, bacon hits the flat top, and by the time the sun comes up, I've already sweat through my first t-shirt. I used to like the rhythm of it, the sizzle, the clatter of plates, the waitresses yelling, "Order up!" It felt like being part of a machine that people actually needed. Folks get cranky without their eggs. Then Mark showed up. Mark was the new shift lead, which basically meant the owner's cousin needed a job. He'd never worked a kitchen in his life, but suddenly he was the one in charge of operations. That's what he called it. Everyone else just called him the guy in the way. The first day, he walked in late, sunglasses on inside, talking too loud about some bet he won. He didn't say hi to anyone, just marched behind the line, clapped his hands and said, "All right, let's see what kind of mess we're working with." I was dropping hash browns trying to keep tickets moving. He stood behind me, watching like he was grading a test he'd never taken. "You always move that slow?" he asked. I thought he was joking, so I half laughed. "It's 6 in the morning, man. Give the potatoes a second." He stepped closer, almost shoulder to shoulder. "If you cooked as fast as you talked, we'd be in business." It stung more than I expected, not because it was the worst thing anyone had ever said to me, but because of how casually he said it. Like I was already disappointing him, and he'd known me for all of 10 minutes. Little comments like that kept coming. A plate went out with toast a shade darker than usual. "Guess we like serving charcoal now," he muttered loud enough for the servers to hear. I asked if we could swap a shipment of sausages that came in spoiled. "Maybe if you didn't screw up inventory, we wouldn't have this problem," he said, even though I'm not the one who orders anything. When the regular named Carl complimented the food, saying, "Best omelet you've made yet, kid," Mark cut in before I could even say thanks. "Yeah, well, I've been cracking the whip back here. Standards are going up." That one really pissed me off. I spent years learning how to not burn eggs while juggling 5 pans at once, and this guy wanted credit for cracking the whip. At first, I tried to brush it off. I told myself he was just insecure. New guy, trying too hard, talking big. I've worked with worse. A kitchen isn't exactly a gentle environment, but there was a difference between kitchen banter and the way he talked to me. He'd say my name like it was a problem. "Alex again?" when a ticket got confused. "Alex, seriously?" If we were even slightly behind. Never mind that he was the one stopping to flirt with one of the servers while I was buried in orders. One afternoon after the lunch rush, I was scrubbing the flat top. My back hurt, and all I wanted was 5 minutes to sit in the walk-in freezer and cool down. Mark walked by, glanced at the still steaming grill, and sighed. "Guess we're not big on elbow grease today," he said. My hand was literally on the scrub pad. "I've been on this for 10 minutes, I said. "It's almost clean." He shook his head. "If you say so," and walked off. It wasn't just the words. It was the way he always performed the disrespect for whoever was nearby. The servers, the dishwasher, even the quiet busboy. Like putting me down gave him a better angle on his spotlight. I noticed people start to look at me differently. Not huge things, just tiny hesitations. A server double-checking an order I handed over. The dishwasher smirking when Mark made a joke at my expense. Little cracks in how they saw me. At home, I'd drop onto my second-hand couch and just stare at the ceiling. My feet throbbed, my clothes smelled like fries, and my brain kept replaying his voice. "You always move that slow? Alex, seriously?" It gets under your skin when someone keeps telling you, in 100 small ways, that you're less. I vented once to the owner, Maria, a tired woman who lived on coffee and aspirin. "Mark's on me all day," I said. "Feels like he's trying to make me look bad." She rubbed her temples and sighed. "He's family. He's just trying to get things organized. Don't take it so personal, Alex." That was the first real warning sign, I think. Not Mark's comments, but the way they bounced right off the person who could have stopped them. After that, the jokes got meaner, the eye rolls more obvious, the doubts heavier. It stopped feeling like one guy with a big mouth. It started feeling like a slow, steady push, trying to move me right out of my own job. The new schedule went up on a Thursday. I walked in, reached for the marker like always to circle my days, and froze. My name, Alex, used to stretch across the breakfast row, 5 solid opens. Now it was jammed into 3 short lunch shifts at the bottom. I just stared for a second, like maybe I was reading someone else's life. Behind me, Mark chuckled. "Oh, you finally saw it. You cut my hours?" I asked. He shrugged. "We needed stronger people on mornings. Breakfast is our moneymaker. You're more of a prep guy. Slower pace." He said it casual, like he was talking about the weather. One of the servers at the drink station smirked into her cup. "I've been opening for 2 years," I said. "And now you're not," he replied. "Opportunity for growth, man. Prove me wrong." That day on the line, I moved like someone else was controlling my body. Lunch has a different feel. No regulars calling you by name. No old guys joking about cholesterol. Just rushed people checking their watches while Mark hovered at the pass. When tickets piled up, he'd clap and say, "Pick it up, Alex," loud enough for the servers to hear. If a plate looked even slightly off to him, he'd adjust it and announce, "This is why I supervise." Every correction had an audience. By the end of that week, my feet hurt, but it was my chest that really ached. On the bus, I'd practice conversations in my head. Reasonable, calm, adult. In the kitchen, they turned to dust. I'd swallow whatever I wanted to say and flip another patty instead. Finally, I cornered Maria in the office. She was hunched over a stack of invoices, glasses low on her nose. "Do you have a second?" I asked. "Make it quick," she said. "Mark cut my hours without talking to me," I said. "He keeps calling me slow in front of everyone. That sausage order he messed up? He blamed it on me. I'm doing my job and getting mocked for it." She sighed, rubbed her forehead. "Alex, every time I tighten things up, somebody feels picked on. Mark's helping me run this place. Don't take it so personal." "It is personal," I said. "He's singling me out." "You're a good cook," she said, "but you are a little sensitive. Let stuff roll off your back. Just focus on your work. I don't have time for drama." Sensitive. In a kitchen, that word is just a softer way of saying you're weak. Like the problem isn't the disrespect, it's the fact that you notice it. I walked back to the line and saw everything differently. The servers went to him now, not me. "Mark, can we comp table 4? Mark, can we sub fruit?" He stood there with a towel over his shoulder, nodding, handing out yes and no like he was born to it. Every now and then, he'd toss a little look my way, like we shared some private joke about how I needed correcting. One slow afternoon, I heard my own name drift over from the drink station. Mark was leaning against the counter with 2 younger servers. "Alex means well," he said, "but some guys are just order takers. Not everyone's built to lead, you know?" They gave that thin, polite laugh people use when they've chosen a side already. I rolled silverware at the prep table, palms sweating, pretending I couldn't hear every word. The ride home that night, the bus rocked and hummed while I stared out at nothing. Maria's sensitive, Mark's slower pace, the server's polite laughs, all of it played on a loop. My dad used to say, "You teach people how to treat you by what you let slide." I realized I'd been letting a lot slide and calling it being a team player. This wasn't kitchen roughness. This was one guy building himself up by cutting me down, and a boss who didn't care enough to notice. By the time I turned my key in my apartment door, the decision was just there, calm and solid. I wasn't quitting. I wasn't exploding. I was done letting this be free. If Mark wanted to act like a boss, I was going to show people exactly what kind of boss he really was. I didn't jump into anything. That's not how kitchens or revenge work. You prep first, quietly, methodically. You get everything in place before the heat goes on. The first thing I did was simple. I stopped reacting. No eye rolls, no flinches, no muttered replies. Mark would lob one of his comments, "Pick it up, Alex." And I'd just say, "Yes, chef," in the same flat tone every time. Not sarcastic, not eager, just neutral enough to make him look like the only one performing. He didn't like that. The next step was collecting little pieces. Not drama, facts. The kind of things that don't seem important until they're all lined up in a row. I bought a small notebook from the gas station across the street and kept it in my backpack. Every day during my break, I jot down times, dates, exact quotes. Whenever he disappeared mid-shift to flirt with the servers, I wrote down the minutes. When he changed the schedule without posting the updated version, I wrote that too. When he approved a comped meal and then blamed the missing charge on me, I logged it word for word. It wasn't for show. It was for clarity. The real break came one Saturday morning when Mark insisted he needed to take a quick call and left me alone on the line during a rush. It wasn't a 2-minute call. It wasn't 10. It was 23 minutes. I know because I wrote it down. While I juggled 8 tickets, 2 burn alarms, and a server yelling for a refire on table 7 because Mark messed up the original order before walking off. When he came back, he didn't say thanks. He didn't explain. He just clapped once and said, "All right, what did you screw up while I was gone?" That was the moment I knew I had more than bad behavior. I had a pattern. That night I stayed late under the excuse of reorganizing the dry storage. When everyone else left, I printed out the last 2 weeks of comped meals, voids, modified tickets, and server complaints from the POS. Most line cooks don't know how to pull those reports, but I've been around long enough to figure things out when I need to. Everything has a trail if you care enough to follow it. I highlighted only the conflicts tied to Mark. Every time he okayed a free meal and blamed it on kitchen mistakes, every void that happened on his shifts, every inconsistency. No exaggeration, just the truth. The final piece landed in my lap. One of the younger servers, Megan, came into the walk-in with red eyes after a confrontation with him. Not shouting, just that low, cutting tone he loved to use on me. "What happened?" I asked. She wiped mascara off her cheek. "He told me if I want better sections, I should be nicer to him, whatever that means." I felt something settle in my stomach, heavy but steady. Instead of telling her to complain, which I knew would go nowhere, I just asked, "Mind writing that down? Just what he said. No embellishments." She hesitated, then sighed. "Yeah, I'm tired of him acting like he owns the place." Her written statement became the last page in my quiet little file. On Monday morning, I made my move, and I did it in the most boring, non-theatrical way possible. I scheduled a meeting with Maria. When I walked into her office, she didn't look up from her invoices. "This about Mark again?" "Not exactly," I said, placing the folder on her desk. She opened it. Her eyes scanned the first page, then the second, then the third. She looked up. "What is all this?" "Documentation," I said. "You told me not to take things personally, so I didn't. I wrote everything down instead. Dates, times, policies ignored, employees harassed, money lost." She flipped deeper, her face draining a little. "This is a lot. It's too weak," and I said, "Just 2. She closed the folder slowly. "Why are you giving this to me?" "Because you deserve to know who's actually costing you money and who's driving your staff out the door." For a long time, she didn't speak. The air conditioner hummed. A car honked outside. Finally, she whispered, "I need to think. Take your time." I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just walked back to the line, tied my apron, and cracked eggs like nothing happened. Mark strutted in 10 minutes later, sunglasses and all, clapped his hands and said, "All right, let's get this circus going." He had no idea the tent was already collapsing. I knew something was shifting when Maria didn't come out of her office for almost an hour. Usually she was pacing the floor by 8 a.m., refilling sugar caddies and nagging about napkin usage. Instead, the door stayed closed. No footsteps, no sighs, no rattling papers. Mark noticed too. Around 9, he peeked toward the office like a kid waiting for a parent to wake up. When she still didn't come out, his swagger dulled a little. He pretended not to care, leaned on the counter, joked with a server, but every few minutes his eyes flicked back to that door. Finally, it opened. Maria didn't say anything at first. She just crossed the diner, calm and slow, and motioned for Mark to follow her. He grinned, like he thought he was about to get praised for leadership. The door shut behind them. I kept working, dropping fries, flipping pancakes, calling out, "Order up." I didn't lean into eavesdrop. I didn't stand closer than necessary. I just kept cooking and let whatever was happening happen. But I heard a voice, his voice, rise once, sharp and panicked, then lower, strained, then silence. 10 minutes later, the office door opened again. Maria stepped out first, face stiff but controlled. Mark followed, pale. Actually pale. His jaw clenched so tight it twitched. He walked straight past me without a word. Didn't clap his hands, didn't smirk. Didn't comment on the toast or ask why the grill temp was what it was. He just grabbed his stuff from the shelf, shoved it into a backpack, and headed for the back exit. The servers watched from the drink station, wide-eyed. The dishwasher paused mid-scrub. I didn't say a thing. Maria waited until the door clicked shut behind him before she approached the line. "He won't be returning," she said. I nodded. "All right." She hesitated. "You could have come to me sooner." "I did," I said gently. "You told me not to take it personal." Her mouth pressed into a line. Not angry, more like someone realizing they'd overlooked a loose screw until the whole cabinet tilted. "You've been with us a long time," she said. "I should have trusted your judgment more." I didn't rub it in. I didn't mention the notebook or the comments or the schedule cuts. I just kept it simple. "It's done now." She nodded once and walked away, shoulders a little heavier. The shift felt different after that, quieter, lighter. The servers talked to me again without glancing over their shoulders. Megan gave me a soft, grateful smile. Even the busboy, usually silent, offered a tiny fist bump. The disrespect didn't vanish overnight, but the source of it did. And once he was gone, everything else started shifting back to normal. The next week, the new schedule came out. My name was back on mornings. No explanation, no apology. Just restored like someone resetting a crooked picture frame. I didn't circle my days this time. I just nodded and went to prep onions. At home, for the first time in months, I sank into my couch and didn't replay every insult or snide comment. The apartment still smelled like onions and fryer oil, but the weight in my chest was gone. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't want confetti or a parade. I just felt steady again, and that was enough. People think revenge is about big gestures or dramatic takedowns, but sometimes it's as simple as holding up a mirror and letting someone's own behavior end their run. Mark wanted to act like a boss. He got treated like one, evaluated, documented, and fired for exactly what he chose to be. The moral, at least for me, was simple. If someone builds their whole identity on putting you down, the most powerful revenge is letting the truth do the work and making sure it's written down when it counts.